Welcome back to your Let's Play Katawa Shoujo. It is, it is technically Sunday. It's like nearly 2 in the morning. Again, I slept through all day, but unlike freaking the last few times I say that, I actually legitimately did. I was freaking tired and, it was horrible. Vivid nightmares and shit. It's like, and then waking up very disorientating after that, you know? And anyways, there's one thing. Remember in the previous part when like freaking Windows 10 popped up, it was like, piss off! Well, a couple of hours after that, it actually freaking installed. And I didn't do anything! I was like, my brother was like showing me all these pictures he had gotten from Disneyland, because he'd been to Florida for the past 2 weeks and he's only just come back. So I was like, yeah, going on with that. And then suddenly my laptop just suddenly started restarting, like, wait, what's going on here? And then it was like, oh, installing Windows 10. It's like, I did not sign up for this bullshit. What the hell? Took freaking hours to install, and I recorded a bit of it with my crappy ass phone just to show how ridiculously long amount of time it takes. Only recorded it for a few minutes. But still, it's just like, that was like, just why? And so, like, from what I can see of Windows 10 so far, having had it, like, since the early hours of the morning, freaking yesterday, is now the early hours of the morning on Sunday, I suppose. And all I can say about it is it's kind of, I prefer the old version, whatever version I had. Because now it's like you got a search bar right next to all the tab bars and all that on the bar at the bottom, and it kind of takes up a lot of space, so that's kind of inefficient. And it also changes, like, you can't really see it, but even like the window view of like well, Katawa Shoujo here looks a bit different. It's a lot skinnier looking. It's like there isn't much, well, it's not really anything, there's nothing really too bad about it, it just kind of looks weird. Yeah, well, get used to it. But anyways, oh yeah, show the clips if I can be able to upload them onto my laptop.
You know that feeling when you constantly decline a Windows update and you're just like, Windows is all like, oh, that's fine, let's update it for you and restart several times at a slow pace. Windows 10 is coming to you whether you like it or not. It was optional, but now it ain't, bitch. Oh, I hate that. Why do they have software where it's like, oh, it's optional, and then suddenly it's like, nope, you're having it whether you like it or not, bitch. Upgrading time. And it's gonna take a long time. Bitch. Balls, ass, shit. That is all. Alright, I've got to record this, because this is just takes the piss. It's been 2 hours, right, to upgrade. The upgrade on its own, right? It's like, we've got some new features to get excited about. But first, we will, stay on the screen for several minutes or so, and you can't really do anything about it. You just have to wait it out, you see. I mean, you waited out the installation, so you can wait out long text, right? Don't turn off your PC. Well, that's new. Well, it's not really, because it's been freaking telling me that the whole time it was updating. Come on. Yes. We've got some new features. We're really, you know, to get excited about it. I don't know what these features are, and I don't really care. I was like, just like hearing my brother talking about like his trip to Disneyland and all that, and then suddenly my laptop just started restarting to install this. You sly little bastards. And now I have to wait and 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 wait. My God. Oh, finally. We've made some tweaks to make Windows even better. We assume that you take forever to read. That's why we're going so slow, or maybe it's... I don't know. Seriously. Reminds me of Bioshock. On the PS3, I remember, like, it's a good game and all, but installing it just takes for fucking ever. That's what it's like. Let's start. I wonder if my reflection can be seen there. Has nothing changed? Wait, what's this? I'm Cortana. Ask me anything. I have no idea what that is. I don't care. I still have this screensaver. This is my face at this update. That is all.
And now, anyways, let's continue. Falling! Mental equations and formulas and blah. It's possible that he might be excited about what he teaches us. Sometimes he can display an awkward spark of passion for it, as if he's starting to get into the material. Most days, however, are like this one. What we're covering is fairly simple, so I find it increasingly difficult to keep my concentration on him. It's not too long until my legs begin aching again, which only makes it even harder. I'm almost starting to regret walking around the city yesterday with Lilly. Since leaving the hospital, I've done very little physical exertion. Walking to and from the local corner store hardly counts. Despite Emmy's attempts when I first arrived in Yamaku, I've largely given up on the idea of ever returning to my old level of fitness. I have little doubt that's why walking around town for so many hours had me quite so sore. It's depressing, and it reminds me of one more thing I can't do since I had my heart attack. It makes me feel pathetic. Ow, Hisao. It's odd for me to ask Hanako a question, but... Hanako, man, I'm thinking... you know, for all I know, I could be pronouncing her name wrong this whole time. Hanako, a question, but not unheard of, as she quickly jumps to her feet, a little startled, and immediately pins her eyes onto him. She knows that mood of calling on her is rare, so all eyes in the classroom are going to be on her. This way, she doesn't run the risk of making eye contact with anyone else. Yes? In this particular example of redox reaction, the combustion of methane reaction actually produces one more product than is listed. That product is... Even though it's a softball question, she timidly waits a bit before answering, biting down slightly on her lower lip as if to keep her concentration. Heat? Well done. This is an experiment reaction, with the reaction giving more heat than is put into it. Receiving a nod from Mito, Hanako takes her seat once again and gives a relieved sigh. A shaky start, but it's something. It'd be nice to take her out for her birthday, somewhere different from the usual isolation of her room and the tea room. With the progress she's made until now, I don't think she'll have much of a problem going to the city. Well, it goes to show you that you still don't quite know that much about her. Right then, for the remainder of this class, I'd like you to work in groups of 3 or 4 on the problems in Chapter 12. I'll be here if you need me. Mito sits down behind his desk, pulls some loose sheets out of a folder and starts on some kind of paperwork of his own. I thought teachers were supposed to do that kind of thing after class, not during it. Wait, Mito sits down and... You know, I've said this before in the past, but I remember, like, when I switched to schools years ago, like from primary to, would it be called middle school, technically? I don't know, just like, no, comprehensive school, that's what it's called over here. Just so confused, because, like, whatever. Anyway, so, like, I was good at math prior to that, right? And then I got into this class and they started, like, introducing different types of math that I wasn't familiar with, and the teacher pretty much did the same thing like that. No, like, you know what, I'm going to explain how this works and all that. I'm just going to assume you know what you're doing, even though you don't. It's just like, what the hell? Regardless, I look to my right to pick out someone to form a group with. Given the 2 smiling faces hovering near mine, I don't think I'm going to get much say in the matter. I suppose we have a group then.
Hee-chan, you want to work together? Okay. That's great. It's really been a while.
The class begins the process of noisily shuffling the desks around. Ishizune doing the same as she puts her in it is in front of mine. She's a little lucky to not be able to hear the din of the classroom, which is loud enough to cause some discomfort. Truth be told, working with Shizune and Misha is probably a good outcome. Shizune and I are pretty good at this subject, and Misha has real nice handwriting. As I look to Misha, I notice a tall figure behind her. The shadow catches Misha's attention as well, and she turns to face the dark-haired observer.
Good afternoon, Hanako! Hello.
Shizune finally notices Hanako after looking up and following the gaze of Misha and I. In quick measure, she taps Misha on the shoulder to get her attention before signing away.
Shi-chan says if you're looking for a group, you can join ours.
Hanako looks down and blushes a little at the offer. Out of all the people in the class, Hanako is most familiar with the three of us, so it's reasonable that she'd come to us first. Then again, her actually coming up to a group with the intention of joining them is something she apparently very rarely did before.
Ow, birdie, my ears are big as old.
She leaves briefly to drag her desk over, and Shizune and Misha wheel back to me as soon as her back is turned.
I guess we get to play again, Hee-chan. You hardly ever play with us anymore.
I wonder why. You two always seem to have some ulterior motive.
That hurt, Hee-chan. I'd almost think you were insulting me. But it's Hee-chan, so I know that you're joking.
Such a great sense of humor about it. It'd be awful if someone were to take advantage of your good nature, like making you help them with their work. Shizune seems excited for a second, a little surprised that I'm willing to challenge her. But when she sees Hanako coming back, she backs off with a smile. I guess the mind games are over early today. Hanako gently sets down her desk in front of Misha's. Her eyes are locked downwards, and I am left wondering why until I look around the class. Most are busy setting up their own groups, but a few are casting curious glances at her. At this range, it's hard to tell well that is where their interest in her ends, or if they are talking about her as well. It's strange, no one bats an eyelid when Hanako runs out of class to avoid group work, but now that she's making an effort, they're staring at her as if she's done something wrong. We all move to sort ourselves out, spreading our textbooks and worksheets around a larger surface created by the four joined desks. It isn't long before the class as a whole gets down to work.
Hi, Hanako. It's nice to finally work with you. Yeah. Are you the reason Hee-chan has been avoiding us lately? Shi-chan says it's a little rude, but if Hee-chan wanted to spend time with a cute girl, it's understandable. I don't think it's like that.
Hanako starts to fidget, unused to this kind of attention. I think that the ordinary person would drop the conversation by now, but Misha is like the antithesis of Hanako. Part of that includes being blind to the ordinary social cues, while Hanako is overly sensitive to them. Because of that, Misha barrels ahead with the questions too quickly for me to get a chance to interject and guide discussion somewhere more comfortable.
Really? So he wasn't hanging out with you yesterday?
No. I can feel my cover being blown already. Lilly didn't want Hanako to know what we were out buying, that we were out buying presents for her, let alone planning out her birthday party. It wouldn't be good for her to find out. Yeah, I was doing something else. You know how it is.
Really? I wonder what was so important for Hee-chan to blow us off like that. If it wasn't to spend time with Hanako, then what could it be? It's really interesting.
No, this is starting to feel like an interrogation. I'm surprised at how Misha is able to exert such a feeling of pressure without actually intending to.
Were you with Lilly?
Out of nowhere, Hanako managed to stumble on the answer. She may be dreadfully quiet and shy, but she's very into it. What makes you say that?
Yesterday, Lilly said something similar. Suspicious, Hee-chan! I demand that you explain yourself!
Hey, shouldn't we be doing the assignment?
But it's so mysterious! Even Hanako wants to know!
I turn to look at Hanako. It's true from the expression on her face. It's obvious that she wants to know as well. And I think we're past the point where I could weasel out of having to provide an explanation. I apologize to Lilly in my mind. She really did want to keep it a secret, but now it doesn't seem possible anymore. Don't you just hate that? always the case with stuff like that. When you're trying to surprise someone, you just can't because they'll just be like, "Hey, what's going on? What are you being so secretive about?" Then you tell them, it's like, "Ah, you ruined it. Who's gonna be surprised?" It's like, "Well, you pressured me into answering." I feel a rush of conflicting emotions, so jumbled that I can't readily identify them, but they crash around in my head as I try to calm down and speak. Alright, I'll tell you. I went into town with Lilly, but it wasn't what you think. Lilly and I were, for Hanako's birthday, the cat is out of the bag, but it looks like Hanako is taking a little better than I thought she would. A brief silence passed around our little group as Shizune and Misha looked at each other sheepishly. I could tell that they didn't expect their game to turn out like this. Misha looks up to Hanako in order to apologize, then pauses. Hanako is staring at the middle of her desk and barely moving. Oddly an expression on her face. I guess I was wrong about her taking it well. No shit.
Hanako, I'm sorry.
Wait a sec that. I'm sorry. There's a few seconds pause, but Hanako lifts and shakes her head.
It's okay.
Her expression looks odd, like she's very tired. That doesn't seem natural, but it's nothing alarming. Nobody really wants to continue with the current conversation, so we open our textbooks and begin our group work. That music! What is this track called? Is it? It's Closed Heart or something like that, right? A Caged Heart. Same thing. It's pretty dull. While the equations we're supposed to work out as a group will take a while, most of it is going to be boringly mechanical. Also doesn't help that, while that didn't go as bad as it could have, it has left an awkward atmosphere around us. Still we manage. Shizune's face betrays that she has about the same expectations of our work as I do, and the two of us begin to write our group's results. Misha, on our hand, is scrunching up her lips and very visibly trying to make heads or tails of what we're doing. Hanako is looking on quietly, absorbing what we write and what I say. She usually has the same expression when a teacher speaks. It's a shame her attendance is so unreliable. The way she takes in information, I think she'd do quite well in class. She actually followed the lessons regularly. I wonder if this might be why Shizune seems so hard on her.
Hey, Hanako, do you understand this?
Misha looks to Hanako, but I suspect her hope is more to find a comrade in ignorance rather than genuine help.
Not really, I guess.
I'm surprised how tense she is answering, but she settles back down. She breathes out, and the way her upper body and head lower reminds me of a deflating balloon. You okay? I would go over this bit if you want. I could, I mean. Hanako shakes her head slightly, but then again, I don't think she needs an extra explanation despite what she said. Misha quickly interjects, entirely oblivious, and I end up slowly going through how we ended up at one of our results, step by step. Times like this remind me that this kind of work may not be mechanical for everyone, but Raw feels that way to me due to my grasp of the subject. It's a satisfying feeling. As Misha brings her bold fist into an open hand in realization, I discover another nice feeling. My explanation got through to her, and she manages to work out the next equation by herself with a minimum of guidance. Throughout all of this, Hanako is unusually unresponsive. She's normally very quiet, but one can tell and still see her eyes roving periodically over the landscape of the classroom in front of her, or anxiously moving her hands in some way, or lifting her shoulders periodically. Right now, these small movements that I've gotten used to seeing are all missing. Someone not moving at all is definitely weird. Even Misha can tell there's something wrong.
Hanako, are you sure you're okay? Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm fine.
A little more strongly this time, but she turns away as she says it. It only makes me doubt her answer, yet at the same time, I can tell she doesn't want to talk about it further. Having already had one very awkward conversation today that I'm still not fully over, I don't want to pursue the matter too much either. We settle back into our routine, debating over our answers whenever a doubt comes up, but as time goes on, I notice that Hanako isn't talking at all. It's frustrating she has made so much progress. Makes me a little angry at Shizune and Misha for undoing the surprise Lilly had wanted to keep a secret so much. I know I'm at fault too. Maybe I could have kept it under wraps somehow. Shizune has noticed Hanako's silence as well, and is also getting antsy. I can see it on her face. It's strange that even though she's deaf, Shizune has perceived Hanako's unusual quietness sooner than Misha.
Hanako, you're being too quiet. You have to contribute too. Someday we might work on a bigger project. Like one that's so big it's worth celebrating afterwards. Like with ice cream or cake. If you act like this, we won't take you along.
I can tell that they're trying to tease her to bring her out of her shell, but I don't think that kind of approach will work on Hanako. It will just make her feel worse. Guys, don't tease her like that.
Hee-chan, it's all in good fun. Chi-chan says she teases everyone anyway.
They do back off though, with Misha moving away from the issue by asking me a question again. On seeing how difficult the problem she is working on, I don't know whether it was a skillful dodge or more coincidence. It takes way more of our time than necessary because Shizune keeps disagreeing with me while I'm trying to explain it to Misha, and Misha is quick to believe her over me. So quick in fact that she forgets to translate what Shizune is saying. Hey, the clock is kinda ticking down, we should speed up a little.
Hee-chan, you sound a little like Shi-chan now.
Just because I looked at my watch? Geez, is that really all it takes? Time management and suddenly I'm the student council president? Oh. I look at Hanako's desk to see how she's doing and freeze. Our papers are covered in equations, but Hanako's only halfway there. Seems like she hasn't written anything in the past 20 minutes. When I realize that, I want to kick myself for how dumb I've been. I should have known that someone as fragile as Hanako wasn't just going to brush off what happened so easily. But I've been too eager to move on from an awkward situation to notice. She's been slowly shutting down for the last half hour, and I had no clue. Her pen is still in her hand, but she doesn't slowly spin it around like she usually does. There isn't a single idle movement from Hanako. Only the fact that she tries to inch away once she feels Shizune, Misha and I looking at her tells me that she is even still conscious. We look away, and at least in my case, it's partly out of shame that it's gotten to this point. Though on the outside she has shut down almost completely, I know that it's a different story on the inside. What kinds of things could she be thinking about as she tries harder and harder to shrink into herself, as if by willing it she could somehow disappear? Everyone is looking at her now, stealing quick glances in between putting the finishing touches on their work. Misha attempts to ask what's wrong, but that only makes the problem worse. If she went frozen to her seat, she would probably run out of the room right now. Misha's questions are loud enough to be heard throughout the entire classroom, and for a second I'm ready to snap at her, because I can only imagine how much worse it's making Hanako feel. Of course, if I were to do that, it would only make the situation worse. I believed that Hanako had gotten stronger, and she has, but it wasn't enough, and I was too eager to believe it. Now she's terrified, alone in the middle of the classroom, and there's nothing I can do without drawing more attention to her. It's infuriating. Misha's worried, and even Shizune is biting her lip. None of us know how to deal with this situation, so I decide to call Muto. His judgment would probably be better than ours. I look up and manage to catch his eye, silently motioning for him to come over. I want to make as little a fuss about this as possible, since if there's anything that would make this worse, it's more attention being focused on her. What is this track called, anyway? Cold Iron. I know that Hanako can see everyone staring at our group, specifically at her, because they know that if there's a problem, it has to be her. Everyone knows her, and it's the first thing anyone's mind would leap to. Her reputation for being a truant has marked her as an unusual person, even in unusual Yamaku. Who knows how many times they have stared at her before. Maybe it's because she's seen the class staring at her so much that she fears their gazes like she does cowering from them. The time it takes Muto to walk over must be like an eternity to Hanako, and she looks as if she is about to fall over. Muto quietly begins to ask us what's wrong before catching himself as he sees Hanako.
Did we upset her?
Don't worry. Muto bends down after calming Misha and looks intently at Hanako's face. Hi, Hisao. Can I help you at all? His voice is hushed and gentle. Everyone's acting so differently around Hanako now that the whole class has noticed something's wrong with her. Hanako doesn't respond, so Muto gently rests a hand on her shoulder. She starts shaking at his touch, but won't even look up. Hanako continues to stare into the equations on her desk, vision so unfocused that I doubt she even sees them. She is worse than before. I remember that not even an hour ago she was able to talk to him almost normally. Widow grimaces a bit as he stands again, and now that his expression changed, I can see he wasn't exactly unaffected by what happened either. He takes a breath to settle himself before speaking in a very quiet voice. I'm a little impressed at how quickly he takes control of the situation. Is that it? Nothing's wrong, then? Midori seems to say that to no one in particular. However, his words sound convincing enough that most of the people who were looking over at Hanako now turn away, getting back to their work. He gives a quick glance to his left and right. Several people at their desk around are still staring curiously. Well, other than that, we seem to have escaped attracting too much attention. Widow notices me doing the same as him and smiles a little in his usual stilted way. I think for Ikizawa's sake that it would be good to quickly take her somewhere away from us. Nakai, Hakamichi, could you please take Ikizawa out of the classroom? I'll keep everyone settled, so please don't worry about anything but her, okay? He looks at me short to tell her to interpret his words for Shizune, but she's already finishing her translation by the time he does so. It's remarkable how little thought she needs to sign, as she still looks quite dazed all over the place. Nodding, Shizune and I stand and move to either side of Hanako. Midori steps back to allow us some room, and talks to the table behind us as some people there have begun to mutter between themselves about what's going on. We look at each other before lowering ourselves in unison, taking one arm around each of our shoulders and lifting. The two of us begin to walk at a slow pace to make sure we don't inadvertently hurt her. As much as we try to make this look normal, I'm quite sure there would be many more gazes on us if not for Midori's distraction. Eventually, thankfully, we reach the door and go through. Nobody's outside, so we walk down the hallway. Doesn't seem like it's making her more at ease than she was in the classroom. Finally, I ask if she wants to just sit down. For a while, we simply stay in place, and for her to say something, Shizune tentatively rubs Hanako's shoulder a little, but there's no response. Eventually, she shakes her head a little when Shizune tries again, both of us are looking at her, so we pick up on it immediately. Shizune's hand again comes to rest on Hanako's shoulder as she awakens, her face lifting to two very worried and anxious people looking at her. She looks at us silently for a while. I'm initially worried she might freak out or do something extreme. Those fears prove unwarranted as her expression slowly changes from an almost lifeless blank state to a more normal withdrawn shyness. She wordlessly lowers her head, her eyes evasively moving to the side. She looks embarrassed, almost ashamed. I want to say something, anything to help. I can't, though. I don't really know what just happened. Well, it seems she had an anxiety attack by the looks of it. I'm not sure what the difference is between an anxiety attack and panic attack, but I've had those type of things and it's freaking horrible. Especially when it hits you really bad. It's like, oh, so freaking horrible feeling. It feels like, it is, it puts you into flight kind of thing. It feels like you're in a very dangerous situation, although you're not. It feels like your life is being threatened, you just kind of panic. I mean, that's why it's called a panic attack. Or even what caused it. I feel helpless and ashamed of myself for not being of any use. Shizune sighs before looking at me. Even without words, I think I can tell what she's asking. I'll take Hanako to the nurse. Is that okay by you? I try to communicate my intentions through hand gestures, but I don't feel like I managed to get through to her very well. Shizune makes a dreary face in response to my gesticulations, confirming my impression. She stabs her finger in the air decisively, first at me, then at Hanako, and then towards the stairs. She waits for me to nod before pointing at herself, then pointing at the door to the classroom. I get the feeling Shizune is much better at this than I am. I nod at her since her plan is after all the same as mine. Shizune gets ready to make her exit, but she only leaves after looking at Hanako for quite some time. Are you okay with me taking to the nurse's office? Hanako doesn't say anything or nod, but she stands up in place by herself, and when I begin to walk, she obediently follows. I've read about people being catatonic before, but I think this time I'm seeing it for myself. She looks extremely tired. After everything that's happened, it's not a surprise. After Hanako silently takes off her shoes and lies on the bed in the infirmary, the nurse and I take our leave. He shuts the curtain behind us, we both take a seat, and I quietly and thoroughly go through everything that happened in quite some detail. This one's painful history, right? Yep. I want to understand what happened, and the nurse has as good a chance as anyone of knowing. You know what, I'm gonna sit properly now. Just seriously, lying down and reading feels awkward. He nods throughout my explanation, his face looking troubled as I finish. It must have been very troubling for you to have to see all this. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. I get that she fainted, but I don't really understand anything about why it happened or why she's acting like this. He nods, but his face is cloudy. You don't know her? Well, yes and no. It's complicated. I assume you've heard about the concept of patient confidentiality at some point. This is a bit of a minefield in that respect. I'm going to put this pretty bluntly. This is a matter for Hisao and me and her therapist. I move to protest, but think better of it. I want to deny what he says, but if I think this through rationally, what he says makes perfect sense. I understand. Good. I wish I could help you all, but I think that Hisao needs, what Hisao needs right now isn't somebody prying into her past or her emotions. She just needs somebody to be there for her. She needs a friend. For what it's worth, I think you've done well in bringing her here. Sounds like you and your friends dealt with the situation well too. I can't remember what voice I originally gave the nurse. It's been so long since we last saw him. I'd give you a lollipop or a sticker as a reward, but you might be a little too old for either. He gives a cocky grin, obviously trying his best to lighten the atmosphere. Not really in a laughing mood, but he does manage to get a smile out of me. Thanks. Do you mind if I stay here with Hanako? I appreciate the thought, but I think it would be better to let her rest for now. She'll be let back to her dormitory room this evening, so you could visit her then. I agree with him before standing. It feels like all I can ever do around the nurse is humbly agree to what he says. But it was the same with the doctors in the hospital too. The walk back to the classroom is a long one, my mind feeling heavy under the weight of so many things happening so suddenly.